Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our ceremonial first pitch. And to do the honors, a past National Commander of the American Legion, representing Ames, Iowa, Mr. Dave Rabine. Johnny Kirshner. At second base, Steve Freer. At third base, Greg Warren. And the home plate umpire, John Whitcraft. Now let's meet the teams, beginning with the visitors from LaMoure, post 19. Reserves, number 9, Riley Christopherson. Number 16, Jaden Paul.
And welcome back to the live video and audio stream here from the birthplace of American Legion Baseball, Milbank, South Dakota, the American Legion Baseball Centennial Classic. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our video and audio stream. Like I said, I'm Chad Knowles. Glad to be in here. Game 3, the final game of this day here this Saturday. And earlier today, LaMoure post 19 defeated Milbank 8-3. And then the game that got over about 2 hours or so ago, Broken Bow will play LaMoure now tonight, and the game at 2:30, it was Glenwood Lowry over Broken Bow 6-5. So Glenwood Lowry goes to the championship tomorrow morning at 11:30, and the winner of this game will play Glenwood Lowry at 11:30, and we'll have that game live audio and video streamed as well here on BigStoneRadio.com. Let's meet right now. We've got Broken Bow and LaMoure doing battle, just about to do battle. So let's meet the lineup for LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19. The visitors on the scoreboard, leading off and playing short, Gunnar Thielges, batting number 2 at second base. Blaze Isaacson, batting 3 on the bump. Colby Thielges, batting in the cleanup spot, number 8, playing center field. Owen Lesko, batting number 5 at third base. Mason Morkin, batting number 6 and catching. Logan Potts, batting number 7 and playing first base. Jaron Reagan, batting number 8 in left field. Jake Kramer, and batting number 9, the DH, Joey Potts. LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19 is coached by Jason Thielges. He's assisted by Gage Dunn. Now for the Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126 team. They will lead off with center fielder Coy Wardeen, batting number 2, the catcher Max Denson, batting number 3 at first base. Bryce Chaplin, batting in the cleanup spot at shortstop. Number 1, Dom Novak, batting number 5, the pitcher Caden Record, batting number 6. Number 5 at third base, Zach Lowry, batting number 7 at second base. Number 12, Kansas Kellum, batting number 8 in right field. Number 8, Colton Eulig, and batting 9th in left field, number 19, Logan Bell. Post 126, Broken Bow, Nebraska is coached by Kyle Kellum, Gavin Goodner, and Caden Holm. So there you have your starting lineups, and we will have the national anthem, of course, and we'll just put it all on the air here for you. Landon Brown, I believe, from Milbank, a recent graduate, will sing our national anthem here tonight as LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19 is in their white baseball pants, white shirts with blue sleeves, dark blue numerals and dark blue lettering, and Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126 is in their gray baseball pants, their red jerseys, white numerals, and now it's going to be the recitation of the
since 1926, every player that participates in an American
pledge
baseball game has recited the sportsmanship code. To read the sportsmanship code at tonight's affair, South Dakota Department of Baseball Chairman, please welcome Mr. Lyle Tolsma.
Gentlemen, fans, coaches, welcome here to South Dakota for this historical event. I know it doesn't seem like a lot for you young players at this point, but you'll be able to talk about this for the rest of your life. Explain this to your children, your grandchildren, and it's not only an honor for you guys to be here, it's also an honor for me. So, repeat after me, please. I will keep the rules, keep faith with my teammates, keep my temper, keep myself fit, keep a stout heart in defeat, keep my pride under in victory, keep a sound soul, a clean mind, and a healthy body. Good luck.
At this time, we will have the presentation of our nation's colors to be followed by the performance of our national anthem. We remind everyone to remain standing and honor the colors until they have been retired. Presenting our nation's colors this evening, Squadron 9, the Sons of the American Legion, Birch Miller, Post 9 from Milbank, South Dakota. And to sing our national anthem, Milbank High School graduate and recent South Dakota State graduate, Mr. Landon Brown.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets swept in air, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you.
And that was a nice job of the national anthem there by Milbank High School graduate Landon Brown. So, welcome back into our video and audio stream here. Again, very good evening, everybody, on your Saturday. I'm Chad Knowles. Of course, this is the birthplace of American Legion Baseball. American Legion Baseball originated on July 17th of 1925 here in Milbank, South Dakota, when then Big Ten Conference Commissioner John L. Griffith asked the American Legion Department of South Dakota to develop a youth program that would impart citizenship, discipline, and good sportsmanship. The American Legion Junior Baseball Program, as it was known then, was approved by national resolution in October of 1925 under the American Legion's Americanism Commission. Since its inception, the number of American Legion baseball participants has exceeded 10 million, including Hall of Famers, of course, Joe Mauer, and a lot of other Hall of Famers as well were American Legion baseball players at one point. Today, more than 50,000 athletes participate in American Legion baseball on more than 3,500 teams in all 50 states, Canada, and Puerto Rico. All right, let's set your batting lineups. First of all, for the visitors on the scoreboard, LaMoure, again, Gunnar Thielges leads off. Blaze Isaacson's bats number 2. Colby Thielges bats number 3. Owen Lesko bats cleanup. Batting number 5 is Mason Warkin. Batting number 6 is Logan Potts. Number 7, Jaron Reagan. Batting number 8 is Jake Kramer. Joey Potts is the DH. And Russell Exner is in right field. So let's set Broken Bow, Nebraska Post 126 on defense for you. In left field is Logan Bell. In center field is Coy Wardeen. Over in right is Colton Young, or Ulig, excuse me. Around the infield is Zach Lowry at third, Dom Novak at short, Kansas Kellum at second, Bryce Chaplin at first. Behind the dish is Max Denson, and on the bump is Caden Record, right-handed pitcher for Broken Bow of Nebraska, post 126, and they are coached by Kyle Kellum, Gavin Goodner, and Caden Holm. LaMoure, North Dakota, post number 19 is coached by Jason Thielgis and Gage Dunn.
Leading off the top of the first from LaMoure, post 19, shortstop number 20, Gunnar Thielgis.
So Gunnar Thielgis now is leading off for LaMoure, post 19. So again, welcome into the video and audio stream here on BigStoneRadio.com. And the first pitch by Caden Record is a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Your umpiring crew behind home plate, John Whitcraft. At first is Johnny Kirshner. At second is Steve Career. And at third is Greg Warren.
They used to really hate from the 9-inning games when you have the 10 after 5 thing, because that just sliced your games in half. Usually 9-inning games. Yeah.
Gunnar Thielgis in the earlier game today got a single and an RBI.
I think it's even more.
Here's the pitch. That is high.
Stop going around.
So 3 balls and no strikes now to Gunnar Thielgis. Blaze Isaacson waits on deck here for LaMoure, post number 19. Here's the pitch. There's a hit into the air into left field. Medium deep left field, and putting it away out there is Logan Bell, the left fielder. So Gunnar Thielgis flies out to left field. That'll bring up number 7 at second base, Blaze Isaacson. Blaze Isaacson. Let's see, in last game, Blaze had an RBI and a run scored. That was in the game earlier today against Milbank, post 9 in that elimination game. And here comes the pitch now. That is a strike to Blaze Isaacson. 1 ball and 1 strike now to the second baseman from LaMoure, post number 19. Again, the visitors on the scoreboard here tonight. Here's the pitch. That is outside on the fastball that time from Caden Record. So 2 balls and a strike now to Isaacson. Here's the Record pitch. That's high. So it's 3-1 now to the batter Isaacson. 1 out, nobody on here. Here's the pitch. That's right down Broadway. Split the plate in half that time with a strike. To fill up the count now at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Here comes the pitch. That's into left field, and that is a single for Blaze Isaacson. So Blaze is on first base now with a clean single to left field, and that's going to bring up number 2, the pitcher, Colby Thielgis.
Pitcher number 2, Colby Thielgis.
And Colby earlier today in that game against Milbank, he had a single and a double, 3 runs scored and a couple of stolen bases. So pretty active stat line in the game earlier today, and LaMoure's victory over Milbank post 9 for Colby Thielgis. And here's the Caden Record pitch. That is a strike. So no balls and 1 strike now to Colby Thielgis. Owen Lesko would bat next here for Broken Bow, or LaMoure in North Dakota, excuse me, post 19. Here's the pitch from Caden Record. That splits the plate in half for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike now to Colby Thielgis. Blaze Isaacson is on over at first for post number 19. And there's 1 out. Here's the pitch. That's into left field, and that is going to be caught by a charging left fielder out there. Nice play by Logan Bell. Running full sprint speed toward the infield. Logan Bell puts it in the leather. So a line out to left field. And nice catch out there again by charging in toward the infield, Logan Bell. So 2 outs now, and that's going to bring up Owen Lesko. Owen in the game earlier today had an RBI single in 4 trips. And there is a throw over to first base. Getting back in safely is Blaze Isaacson. Mason Workin would bat next if the half inning continues here after Owen Lesko. And the pitch is upcoming now here to Lesko. There goes the runner to second. The throw is there, but not held cleanly by the second baseman. So Isaacson head first slide into second base on the steal.
I'm here. It's been fun. It's been awesome to see the field.
And a 2-ball, no strike count now to Owen Lesko. Blaze Isaacson is on second here for LaMoure. And there's a strike. So 2 balls and 1 strike. Here comes the 2-1. That is on the inside corner for a strike. 2 balls and 2 strikes now with Isaacson at second and 2 outs. No score, just underway. Top of the first. LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19 against Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126. Here's the pitch. That is low to fill up the count now. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Lesko. And here comes the pitch. That is outside, so getting a walk is Owen Lesko. He goes over to first. And that will bring up number 6, the third baseman, Mason Workin.
Number 6, Mason Workin.
Mason Workin in that game earlier today against Milbank. He had an RBI on a ground out. He scored a run and reached on an error. LaMoure beat Milbank earlier today 8-3, and Glenwood Lowry defeated Broken Bow in the game right before this 6-5. There's going to be a foul out of play to the right by Mason Workin. So 1 ball and 1 strike now to Mason Workin. Here comes the pitch. There's a fly ball into left field, short left field, and that's going to be the shortstop, Dom Novak, that puts that one away. So Mason Workin flies out too short to end the top of the first inning. No runs, 2 left on base for LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19. Half an inning in the books. LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19, nothing. Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126, coming to bat in the bottom of the first. You're in tune to the American Legion Baseball Centennial Tournament here from the birthplace of American Legion Baseball, Milbank, South Dakota, and we'll be back with more shortly.
Okay, because I hear it in my headset, so I had to turn off my field. We were hearing something, but we don't know where it's coming from. Okay, if you are able to figure it out, let me know so I can turn my
For LaMoure defensively, Russell Exner in right field, Owen Lesko in center, Jake Kramer in left. Mason Workin at third, Gunnar Filgis the shortstop, Blaze Isaacson at second, Jared Reagan at first. Logan Potts the catcher, the pitcher number 2, Colby Filgis.
And welcome back to the live video and audio stream here on BigStoneRadio.com and YouTube tonight as well. Let's set the LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19 defensively. In left field is Jake Kramer. In center field is Owen Lesko. And right is Russell Exner. Around the infield for LaMoure, North Dakota, Mason Workin is at third. Gunnar Filgis is at short. Blaze Isaacson at second. Jaron Reagan at first. Behind the dish is Logan Potts catching. And on the bump is Colby Filgis. And again, Broken Bow will go like this. this. Coy Wardine, Max Denson, Bryce Chaplin, Dom Novak, Caden Record, Zach Lowry, Kansas Kellum, Colton Ulig, and Logan Bell. And again, Broken Bow, Nebraska, no reserves. So they just have 9 guys up here today, or this weekend.
Number 10, Coy Wardine.
And Cole Wardine in just the last game against Glenwood Lowry had a single, and he scored a run, and he got a walk. So Coy Wardine in the batter's box. Here's the pitch. That's a swing and a foul. So a strike. No balls and 2 strikes now to Coy Wardine. And here is the pitch, and that is going to stay inside to Wardine. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to the right-handed batting center fielder for post 126. And here is the pitch. That is a fastball right across the plate, but high. So 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Coy Wardine from Colby Thilgis. Here's the Thilgis pitch. That is going to be low. So a nice patient at bat by Coy Wardine. He fell down, I believe, no balls and 2 strikes. Now it is a full count to number 10 for post 126. Here's the pitch to Wardine. That's a dribbler just a few feet out to the left of home plate. So the at-bat goes on here for Coy Wardine. He's at a 3-2 count now, the full count. No score, just underway, bottom of the first. Here's the pitch. That is high and inside. Wardine takes the walk. And that'll bring up number 11, the catcher, Max Denson. For Broken Bow, Nebraska. Post number 126.
Brings up number 11, the catcher, Max Denson.
Max Denson at the dish now for Broken Bow, post 126, with Wardine on first. Coy does not go anywhere on the first pitch. He was dancing around out there at first base like he might be taking off, but he just stays put. And here comes the pitch. Wardine fakes going to second, still does not take off. The pitch is high and in the meantime. So it's 2 balls and no strikes now to Max Denson. Wardine on first with nobody out. No score here. Here's the pitch. There's a hit into center field right at the center fielder, Owen Lesko. He puts it in the glove. So Max Denson lines out to center field. That'll bring up first baseman number 7, Bryce Chaplin.
Number 7, Bryce Chaplin.
Bryce Chaplin in the game that just preceded this one had an RBI single, a double, and line out. And there's a run to second base, a first head first slide by Coy Wardine. He gets in there safely. So that's where Wardine is now at second base with the stolen base. And a no ball, 1 strike count to Bryce Chaplin for post 126. Here's the pitch. That's a nice curveball, but just is a little bit high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike now to Bryce Chaplin. Number 7, here's the pitch. There is a pop fly into foul territory. First baseman over there, Jaron Reagan, cannot come up with the catch. He was close to it and just kind of, I think it almost like fell out of his glove. But anyway, a new life for Bryce Chaplin. Again, there's one certain angle here at the new ballpark that I just, my vision is just a little bit impaired here with the view anyway, and I think it popped out of the top of his glove. Anyway, there's a grounder foul down the third base line by Chaplin. So 1 ball and 2 strikes remains maintains the count. Bryce Chaplin here in the bottom of the first. Here's the pitch. There is a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 1 recorded on the evening for Colby Thilgis. And that will bring up cleanup hitter number 1, the shortstop, Dom Novak. Dominic Novak in the batter's box in the last game. Dominic Novak had a RBI triple and a sacrifice fly RBI in 4 at-bats. 1 ball and no strike in the meantime to Dom Novak. And Thilgis, here comes the pitch. That is right across the plate, but a little bit low and outside. So 2 balls and no strikes. Here's the pitch that gets away from the catcher. Going to third is Wardeen, and he slides in head first, just under the tag. That was a bang-bang play. That was a nice throw down there, too, by Logan Potts from his catching position, and just about got Wardeen at third. But a nice heads-up running and sliding in head first by Coy Wardeen. He's at third.
Novak is being intentionally walked.
And Novak gets the intentional walk. So that will now bring up the pitcher, number 27, Caden Record. Caden, in the previous game, had an RBI single in 4 trips. So Caden Record now in the batter's box for post 126. No score, bottom of the first. And Record squares to bunt. Missed it and takes a strike. In the meantime, Dominic Novak goes into second base, standing up without a throw. So runners on second and third now for post 126. Here's the pitch. That is outside by Colby Thilgis. So Caden Record now with takes a ball. 2 balls and a strike to Caden Record. And here comes the pitch. That's a grounder, and that's going to be into left field. 1 run is going to score. 2 runs are going to score. A 2-run single, and then going to second and standing up safely is Caden Record. A 2-run single. Coy Wardeen scores. Following him is Dominic Novak. And it is now 2-0, post 126.
Zach Lowry.
2-0, post 126 here in the bottom of the first inning. And there is a swing by Zach Lowry and a miss. In the previous game, Zach Lowry did not have a hit. He got a walk in 4 trips. So Zach Lowry looking for his first hit here in the tournament today. Here's a fly ball into center field. Owen Lesko is underneath it, and Lesko puts that one away. And the half inning is over, but 1 inning complete now. It's Broken Bow from Nebraska, post 126, 2, and LaMoure, post 19 from North Dakota, nothing. We'll be back with more American Legion Baseball, Centennial Classic Baseball from Legion Field here at the birthplace of American Legion Baseball, Milbank, South Dakota, and we'll be back shortly.
This is Krogi and I will have that. Yeah, it's actually he's asking about time capsules.
welcome back to the live video audio stream here from Milbank, South Dakota, Northeast South Dakota, home of the birthplace of the American Legion Baseball. Centennial 100th year obviously being celebrated here this weekend and actually all year here in Milbank. Very special event here for the residents of Northeast South Dakota, this town of about 3,500 here in Northeast South Dakota, as LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19 comes to the plate now in the top of the second inning. They are trailing Broken Bow, Nebraska 2-0. And leading off the top of the second is the catcher, number 1, Logan Potts. Logan Potts earlier today in the win against Milbank had a couple of walks and an RBI sac fly. And a run scored for Logan Potts in the win over Milbank in the first game of today. And here comes the Caden record pitch. And that is going to be a ball. 2 balls and no strikes. Here comes the pitch. That is low and outside, so 3-0. Logan Potts way ahead now in the count here. And here comes the 3-0 now. That is a 4-pitch walk to Logan Potts to lead off the second inning. And that'll bring up first baseman number 36, Jaron Reagan. In the game earlier today, Reagan did not get a hit. Jacody Lewis is a courtesy runner now at first base for Logan Potts. And that'll bring up, like we said, Jaron Reagan, number 36, left-handed batter for LaMoure, post number 19. There's a strike, and then they throw it over to first base, and diving back in safely is Logan Potts. 10-147-10-147. So no balls and 1 strike now to Jaron Reagan. Here's the pitch. That is a ball. So
I don't mind that yet because I can say it.
Count 1 ball and 1 strike. Here comes the 1-1. That is fouled out of play the other way to the left. So 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Jaron Reagan. Jake Kramer waits on deck for post 19. Comes the pitch. That is fouled down the third base line by Reagan. So count rides along. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to the left-handed batting first baseman for LaMoure, North Dakota, post number 19. And record checks the runner. Here's the pitch. There's a grounder to the first baseman. He can't handle it, and then nobody's covering first base. So reaching first is Jaron Reagan. Going into second is Logan Potts.
Number 24, left fielder, Jake Kramer.
And Jake Kramer, the left fielder, number 24, will bat.
Make sure everything's good.
So LaMoure's Jake Kramer earlier today walked and scored a run in 3 trips to the plate. Kramer squares to bunt and misses it. No balls and 1 strike now to Jake Kramer. Joey Potts bats next. Runners on first and second now for LaMoure with nobody out. They are trailing 2-0, and there's a bunt down the third base line. It goes foul for Kramer. So no balls and 2 strikes now to Jake Kramer. Again, in the top of the second, Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126 is leading LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19, 2-0 here in the Centennial Classic Tournament here in Milbank. Here's the pitch. There is a hit into the air into right field, and coming in and catching is the right fielder, Ulig. And he fires it into third, so no advancement for either runner. So Drake Kramer flies out to right fielder Colton Ulig. And that will bring up number 10, now designated hitter Joey Potts. With runners on first and second, and now one out, Joey Potts. Earlier today did not play in the game against Milbank.
Yeah. This is rather ambitious. I hope it all works out, brother.
He might have come in and pinch run maybe once or twice. Here's the pitch. There is a swing and a miss by Joey Potts, the DH here in this game. Runners on first and second with one out. LaMoure, North Dakota is batting, trailing 2-0 to Broken Bow, Nebraska. And there's a off-speed pitch. Floats in there for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Joey Potts. And here's the pitch. That is a little bit high and a little bit outside. Evens the count now, 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out, top of the second. LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19 is batting, and again trailing 2-0 to Broken Bow, Nebraska. Here's the pitch, and that is low. So it's a full count now.
And Ryan's doing it all himself. That's the other part of this.
Payoff pitch, that is high, and Joey Potts gets a walk. So Logan Potts to third, Jaron Reagan to second, and Joey Potts to first. Bases are loaded with 1 out here in the top of the second inning. And here's Gunnar Thilgis, and he pops it out of play, foul. I believe that hit the top of the press box here. That clonked on the roof. So Thilgis, who flew out to left field last half inning. And here comes the pitch. That is a strike. So quickly ahead now is Caden Record. An 0-2 count to Gunnar Thilgis. Bases are full of post-19 runners here with only 1 out. And here comes the pitch. That's on the ground to second base. They go to second for 1. The relay to first is not in time. So Logan Potts scores. Jaron Reagan goes to third. And actually, that is the end of the half inning.
The fourth slide rule, Thilgis is also being called out, so no run scores for LaMoure.
Okay, no run scores. And there was a sliding violation, I believe, on somebody. Anyway, so there is still no score, and we'll be back with more coming up. So stay tuned. Live stream here of American Legion Baseball.
No hits. There was 1 broken bow error and 2 runners left.
Okay, so they are
to the bottom of the second inning here. Welcome back to our live stream. So LaMoure, North Dakota is trailing still here 2-0 to Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126. Broken Bow will come up here in the bottom of the second inning. Kansas Kellum, second baseman, will lead off. For Broken Bow, Kansas Kellum last game singled, and he was hit by a pitch. Here's the pitch. That's kind of a curveball that time, a nice one by Thilgis. Here's the pitch. There is a fly ball into short center field, and coming in, making the catch is Owen Lesko. So Kansas Kellum flies out to center fielder Owen Lesko, and that'll bring up right fielder number 8, Colton Ulig.
Right fielder number 8, Colton Ulig.
Colton Ulig in the last game that just got over not too long ago, walked 3 times. So he was on base 3 of 4 times in that game that they lost to Glenwood Lowry 6-5. Here's the pitch, and that is a ball. So 1 ball and 1 strike. Here comes the pitch now. That is a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Colton Ulig. Logan Bell waits on deck for Broken Bow, Nebraska. And the 1-2 offering, here it is. There is a fly ball out of play to the left.
Yeah, no, I'll be Brody and I, obviously, this stuff. I'll do this. You guys just tell me what you need.
2-0. It is Broken Bow leading here over LaMoure, North Dakota. 3 balls and 2 strikes now to Ulig. Here it is. And that is a called 3rd strike. Rung up on strikes that time is Colton Ulig. So strikeout number 2 recorded by Colby Thilgis. And that'll bring up number 9 place hitter Logan Bell. Logan Bell against Glenwood Lowry earlier today. A pair of singles in 4 trips, and there is going to be a ball now, 1 ball and no strikes to Logan Bell, the 9th place hitter. Here's the pitch. There's a swing and a miss. Bell wanted to hit that one hard somewhere, and he just missed it. No balls and 2 strikes to Logan Bell. Here comes the Thilgis pitch. That's hit in the air into left field, just about in his tracks out there, and putting it away is Jake Kramer. And so Logan Bell flies out to left field, and 3 up and 3 down in the bottom of the second for Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126. After 2, it is Broken Bow, Nebraska 2, LaMoure, North Dakota nothing. We'll be back with more Centennial Classic American Legion Baseball here from Milbank, South Dakota, the birthplace of American Legion Baseball, right after this shortly. So we'll be back with more coming up shortly here from Milbank. Welcome back to the live video and audio stream here. You're in tune to American Legion Baseball's Centennial Classic here on this July weekend in Milbank, South Dakota. Again, I'm Chad Knowles. Glad to be along. We'll have the championship game here tomorrow on the live stream as well, 11:30. And here comes LaMoure, North Dakota, to open up the top of the third. And that will be the top of the lineup now, and Gunnar Thilgis. Gunner is flied out to left. He's 0 for 1. Here's the pitch. That is outside. 1 ball and 1 strike now to Gunner Thielges.
I got it. Okay, we got a striker, the ball up everywhere.
And here comes the pitch. There is a swing. Actually, that was Blaze. This is Blaze Isaacson. My bad.
We're figuring this out. I can do the game.
And it's 2-1 now, the count to Isaacson. And here comes the pitch. That is a ball. So it's 2-2 now to Isaacson, leading off the top of the third here for LaMoure. And here's the pitch. Foul back to the screen. So the count rides along now at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And here's the 2-2 pitch. There is a fly ball into short right field. And the second baseman, Kansas Kellum, puts it in the leather. So Blaze Isaacson pops out to second base.
And the pitcher, number 2, Colby Thilges.
And that'll bring up the pitcher, Colby Thilges, who lined out to left field and back in the first inning.
I just play a couple of songs and close up. A lot of this is their stuff, actually.
And here comes the pitch. That is low and outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Bases empty.
Too much for this. It's my lap.
1 out here in the top of the third inning. LaMoure, North Dakota against Broken Bow, Nebraska. Here's the pitch. There's a single right over the second base bag for Colby Thilges.
I'm assuming it will be a different story in the stadium. So I will bring all of myself in a couple of weeks.
And so Colby Thilges is on first base now with a single. That'll bring up Owen Lesko. The center fielder, Owen Lesko, walked back in the first, was stranded actually at first base. Again, 2-0 Broken Bow over LaMoure, North Dakota here in the top of the third inning. And here's the pitch. That is low and outside. 1 ball and no strikes to Owen Lesko.
Yep, well, that's the deal. And again, you can kind of hear out that it's
Coming to the set now is Caden Record. Here's the righty's pitch. That is golfed into the air into center field, and that goes over the center fielder's head. That was over Wardine's head. And so sliding in at third is the lead runner, Colby Thilges. And in with a double is Owen Lesko. And Lesko has a double now, and Thilges is at third. Lesko is at second.
Double by Lesko brings up third baseman number 6, Mason Workin.
And that'll bring up number 6, the third baseman, Mason Workin. He flew out to shortstop. So he's 0 for 1, and there is the low outside pitch. So now LaMoure, post number 19, is threatening to possibly tie matters here. They're down 2 runs, but they've got 2 runners in scoring position right now at second and third. Here's the pitch. There is a single up the center of the field. 1 run is going to score, and they're going to hold. Lesko at third. Colby Thilges scores.
RBI single for Workin. And he is out 8-6-3 at first.
And then Workin gets retired, so he gets an RBI single, but he gets caught 8-6-3.
The catcher number 1, Logan Potts.
So there are 2 outs now, and Lesko at third. It is 2-1 now. And here's the pitch. There's a swing and a miss by Logan Potts. He walked and scored.
We were joking slick stuff about the injection. He's like, for the coach, I don't know why you wouldn't want to earn that.
And here's the pitch. There's a swing and a miss.
So romantic.
So no balls and 2 strikes now. It is 2-1 in favor of Broken Bow.
That's
And here's the pitch. There's a fly ball into short right field. Kansas Kellum at second base camps under it, and Kansas Kellum makes the catch. So Logan Potts pops out to second base. They do get one run, though, to chop the lead in half. After 2.5, Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126-2. LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19-1. We'll be back with more of the live stream, audio and video, coming up shortly here. Stay tuned.
And first thought I had to talk about this, the one you got hit, you know? Am I even being thoughtless? Yeah. All of a sudden now this whole tournament goes. That's what they could have made some exception.
And you are in tune. Welcome back to the American Legion Baseball Centennial Classic, live and direct here from Milbank, South Dakota, the birthplace of American Legion Baseball 100 years ago. We're at Legion Field at Farley Park, brand new park here in Milbank. And that'll bring up the top of the order now in Coy Wardeen for Broken Bow. He is going to take one for a strike. Wardeen has walked, he's stolen a couple bases, and he scored a run. All back in the first inning. And here comes the pitch to Wardeen. That is low and outside. 1 ball and 1 strike now to number 10, the center fielder for Broken Bow, post number 126. And here's the pitch. That is a ball. 2 balls and 1 strike now to Wardeen.
Bring 2 up this case, Kate. I'll take care of that. You ready to go?
And here comes the pitch. That is a strike. So it is 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You guys need anything from me before we get down? You do, let me know.
To Coy Wardeen.
No better than that.
Here comes the 2-2. That is low and outside. Way low and outside, I should say. So that fills up the count now. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Wardeen. Again, a very patient at-bat here for Wardeen.
Yes, he's just
Here's the pitch. There is a fly ball into left field, short left field, shortstop. Dom Novak goes back and gloves it in short left field. So Coy Wardeen flies out to left field.
The catcher, number 11, Max Denson.
Actually flies out to the shortstop, Novak. That'll bring up Max Denson now here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Max lined out to center field back in the first, 0 for 1. Here's the pitch. There's a fly ball into pretty deep center field this time, but drawing a bead on it way just about at the warning track out there, and putting it away is Owen Lesko. Nice job by Owen out there in center field. That was hit pretty good by Denson, but Owen Lesko had it measured all the way, and the center fielder puts it away. 2 up, 2 down here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. That'll bring up Bryce Chaplin now, a strikeout victim back in the first. He's 0 for 1. Here's the pitch. That is just about hits Bryce Chaplin, but does not. 1 ball and no strikes to Bryce Chaplin. Base is empty. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 3rd. Here's the pitch. That's a curveball and a beauty. In there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike from Colby Thilgis to Bryce Chaplin. Here comes the pitch. That's kind of a curveball, but that way stays way outside and low that time. So 2 balls and 1 strike to Bryce Chaplin. Here comes the pitch. There's a foul back to the screen. Evens up the count now. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the post 126 first baseman. And here comes the 2-2, and that's hit pretty hard into left field, and that is going to hit off the wall. So going into second Standing up is Bryce Chaplin with a ringing double off the left field wall. It's the lower, it looks like the Green Monster a little bit out there, but it's the lower portion of the two parts of the Green Monster out there in left field that ball hit off of. And so Bryce Chaplin is at second with his stand-up double, and that will bring up now number 1, the shortstop, Dom Novak. Broken Bow is holding a 2-1 lead here in the bottom of the third inning. Again, glad to have everybody along here on the video and audio stream. Here's the pitch. Again, that's a curveball that's in there for a beauty. No balls and 1 strike to Dom Novak. Dom walked, stole a base, and scored a run back in the first. Here's the pitch. That same pitch, the same result. No balls and 2 strikes to Dom Novak. And Colby Thilgis's pitch, and that is low and outside. So 1-2 now is the count to Dom Novak.
Rough draft on the left side.
And the pitch is upcoming here to Dom Novak, and he swings, and the ball gets away, but they throw it down to first, and the out is complete. So a strikeout is recorded. Strikeout number 3 on the evening for Colby Thilgis. 3 innings in the books. Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126-2, and LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19-1. And we'll be back with more baseball. Centennial Classic, American Legion baseball from Legion Field in Milbank. We'll be back with more, so stay tuned just shortly.
You know what? If you think of something, let me know. Source of money. They might not be nothing, so we'll see if they take care of it. Figure this one. How this all goes. Sure. He clearly do it, so I'm assuming. I'll go get some more for that now. Sure. I appreciate that. I'm assuming. Yeah, they didn't close out. Your agent is mine. Oh, like it's mine. That's a fair point.
And welcome back to the live audio video stream. Of course, on sale here at the ballpark is a book-a-zine, A Century of Citizenship Through Sportsmanship. Gives all the history of American Legion baseball, all the people, a lot of the people that have played for American Legion baseball and how it got its start. It's a very interesting book. I have not read it cover to cover yet, but I have read a lot of it, and it is very, very interesting. That is a book-a-zine available here at the ballpark in Milbank. And that's going to bring up now LaMoure, North Dakota here in the top of the 4th inning. And there is a grounder to first base, and first baseman takes it unassisted. Bryce Chaplin retires Jaron Reagan.
The left fielder, number 24, Jake Kramer.
I'll bring up number 24 now, the left fielder, Jake Kramer. He flew out to right field, so he's 0 for 1. He did that back in the second. And here is the pitch now from Caden Record. That stays high. 1 ball and no strikes now to number 24, the left fielder. Top of the 4th is where we are here. It is 2-1 in favor of LaMoure, or excuse me, Broken Bow, Nebraska. And here is the pitch now. That is going to be a strike. So 2 balls and 1 strike now to Jake Kramer. And the Caden Record pitch, here it is. That is right there, but a little bit outside. 3 balls and 1 strike to Kramer. 1 out, nobody on, bases empty here in the top top of the fourth inning. Here's the pitch. There's a swinging bunt basically off the mound. Throwing over to first is Caden Record, and not holding it is Bryce Chaplin.
Did you get rid of it out? Okay. Should we go E1?
So reaching on an error is Jake Kramer.
Reaches on the air. Now batting the designated hitter number 10, Joey Potts.
Joey Potts, designated hitter, is going to bat now. He walked back in the second, so Jake Kramer is at first. Representing the tying run right now. Here's the pitch. There's a pop-up on the infield. Who's got it? Record says he has it, and Caden Record, the pitcher, puts it in his glove, so 2 outs now. And that'll bring up the top of the lineup, and Gunnar Thilgis.
Shortstop number 20, Gunnar Thilgis.
Let's see. Gunnar Thilgis has flied out to left, and he takes a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Again, the winner of this game will face Glenwood Lowry, Minnesota, tomorrow morning, 11:30 championship game here, and we'll have it on the live stream for you. We'll go on about 11:15, I suppose, or so tomorrow morning. And the 2-0 pitch now is upcoming here, and that is a strike to Gunnar Thilgis. 2 balls and 1 strike now to number 20, the shortstop, for post number 19. And there is a throw back to first. Diving in safely head first is Jake Kramer. Pretty good move over there by Record, but Kramer got back in safely. Record throws the pitch, and that's a ball. 3 balls and 1 strike now to Gunnar Thilgis. Blaze Isaacson would bat next. If Gunnar keeps the half inning alive, here it is. That's low and outside. And drawing the walk is Gunnar Thilgis. So he will go to first. Jake Kramer goes to second. Blaze Isaacson now in the batter's box. Blaze singled back in the first and popped out to second last half inning. There's going to be a visit to the mound now by the coach for Broken Bow, Nebraska. He's going to visit with his right-hander, and I suspect he wants the infield. Well, maybe not. The infield maybe will not all come in. I guess he's just going to talk to his pitcher. Again, thanks to all the listeners of the live stream here over the tournament so far. We've got the rest of this game, and then the game tomorrow here, the championship game at the Centennial Classic here in Milbank, South Dakota.
Watermelon feed, thanks to the city of Milbank, taking place down the third base line. Get your free watermelon. It's Caden Krause approved. The watermelon feed taking place down the
watermelon feed. That's right, there's a watermelon feed here in Milbank. Oh my, that sounds good about right now. Anyway, that brings up Blaze Isaacson like we said. Here's the pitch. That is going to be inside to Blaze. 1 ball and no strikes now to Blaze Isaacson. 2 on, 2 out here for LaMoure post number 19, and there's a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike to Isaacson. Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126 is leading right now 2-1. And here is the pitch. That is low. We are in the top of the 4th inning here in the birthplace of American Legion Baseball, Milbank, South Dakota. And a 2-1 pitch upcoming now to Isaacson. Here it is. That's grounded too short. Nice play by the shortstop, and then they throw the ball. Tried to go to third to get out Jake Kramer. Isaacson reaches. Gunnar Thilgis goes to second.
Yes. You could just say an error on the out. That's your call. Isaacson reaches on the fielder's choice. Now batting pitcher number 2, Colby Thilgis.
Colby Thilgis Fieldjes now comes up with the bases loaded here. And there's a fastball in for a strike. Colby Fieldjes has singled and scored a run and lined out to left. So a golden opportunity here for the pitcher. Colby Fieldjes fouls that one back, so he's in a quick hole here. No balls and 2 strikes. Bases are full of post 19 runners. There are 2 outs, and post 19 is trailing by 1 to Broken Bow, Nebraska. Here's the pitch. There's a hit into right field, and that is going to be a diving catch out there. What a play by right fielder Colton Uhlig. He saved at least 1 run and probably a lot more. What a nifty play by Uhlig out in right field, and they leave the bases loaded, does post 19. 3.5 complete. It is Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126-2. LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19-1. We'll be back with more of the live stream from the American Legion Baseball Centennial Classic from Milbank. We'll be back with more shortly here on the live stream.
If you need all in favor aye, I would set the motion. Sounds good.
Okay, we're getting watermelon delivered to us here as we speak. Thank you very much.
Running out the bottom of the 4th for Broken Bow, the pitcher number 27, Caden Record.
And Caden Record is coming to the batter's box now.
Thank you.
And the lights are starting to take effect here at Farley Park, Legion Field. And Caden Record has a 2 RBI single here, so he has driven in both runs for post 126. They lead 2-0.
You got a 1-2 count on that too? Yeah.
And here's the pitch. That is low and gets away. 2-2 is the count now. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Caden Record. We are in the bottom of the 4th inning here. Again, Broken Bow is leading 2-1 over LaMoure, North Dakota. There's a grounder out to short, a 2-hopper. Dom Novak throws wildly to first. Caden Record reaches.
Number 5, Zach Lowry.
And that'll bring up Zach Lowry, now number 5.
That must be why air conditioning. It's not bad up there.
That brings up Zach Lowry here. Here's the pitch. There is a fly ball on the infield. Shortstop Dom Novak backing up just a little bit into the outfield grass, and he makes the catch. So Zach Lowry pops out to short.
Number 12, Kansas Kellum.
And that'll bring up number 12, Kansas Kellum, the second baseman. Kansas has flied out to center, so he's 0 for 1. And throwing over to first in the meantime, diving back in safely is Caden Record. Here's the pitch to Kellum. That is a foul ball down the third base line. And you're you're in tune to the live stream here from Milbank, South Dakota. The American Legion Baseball Centennial Classic has been going on yesterday, today, and will culminate tomorrow with the championship at 11:30. We'll have that here on the live stream for you. And here's the pitch. There's a swing and a foul back. So no balls and 2 strikes to Kansas Kellum. And there's a foul back to the screen, so the count rides along now. No balls and 2 strikes to Kansas Kellum. One out, one on here for Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126. Here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Here's the pitch. There is a swing and a foul. About 5 feet behind home plate. Kansas Kellum backs out of the batter's box, asks for time. Now he's back in the batter's box. Here's the pitch. Fastball is a little bit high and outside. Kansas Kellum takes it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And here comes the pitch. There is a hit into the air, into left field. Drifting back on it and gloving it is Logan Bell. So flying out to left is Kansas Kellum. That'll bring up the right fielder Colton Uhlig, who had a beautiful catch to close out the top of the 4th inning for LaMoure. He dove in from his right field position and made the catch, held on to the baseball. Colton Uhlig offensively tonight has struck out. Here's the pitch. That's foul down the left field line. Colton Uhlig, a left-handed batter for Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126. And the pitch now, there's going to be actually a throw over to first base. And they got him. They picked him off. That was a nice move that time, and picked off at first was Caden Record. So 4 innings are complete. Well, no, I guess not. I thought, well, now they're going to have an umpire discussion here. I guess I shouldn't have called it too early. That was my fault. And he is safe. So it is, the half inning is still alive as Caden Record is called safe at first base on the dive back in. So Colton Uhlig still in the batter's box now. So Caden Record still at first base. Here's the pitch, and that is a strike to Colton Uhlig. So no balls and 2 strikes now to Colton with Caden Record on first base. Broken Bow, Nebraska leading here 2-1, and here's the pitch. That is low and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Or 1 ball and 2 strikes, I beg your pardon. 1-2 now the count to Uhlig. Here's the pitch. There's a fist shot hit into left field, but it's foul. So Record jogs back to first now for Broken Bow. And the count rides along at 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Colton Uhlig. Comes the pitch, grounder to second. Kansas Kellum up with it, or excuse me, that would be Isaacson up with it over to first. And the out is complete. Uhlig grounds out second to first. So no runs in the 4th inning. 4 complete. Broken Bow, Nebraska post 126-2, and LaMoure, North Dakota post 19-1. We'll be back with the top of the 5th in a short while here on the live stream. You're in tune to Centennial Classic American Legion Baseball from Milbank, South Dakota. Back with more shortly. Stay tuned.
We got plenty of extra here, so I appreciate it.
top of the fifth. Again, welcome back to the live stream here, as this is a close game. Broken Bow, Nebraska is holding on to a 2-1 lead over LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19. And we are going into the top of the fifth inning, as I said.
Center fielder number 8, Owen Lesko.
And that will bring up Owen Lesko now for LaMoure. Owen has doubled in a couple of trips tonight. He's also walked. Here's the pitch. That is hit out of play to the right. Foul. No balls and 1 strike.
Together on the edge of the rubber.
And here is the pitch. And there is a hit into left field. And that is caught out there. A nice play in left field by Logan Bell. And he got a beat on that one and put that one away. So Lesko hit it pretty good, but F7 in your scorebook. That'll bring up Mason Workin. He has an RBI single, and he's flied out to short. And here comes the pitch now. That is a strike at the knees of Mason Workin from Caden Record. Here's the pitch to Workin. That's into left field for a single. That was hit pretty good by Mason that time. Single. And he takes the wide turn at first and puts on the brakes. Mason Workin at first with his single. That'll bring up Logan Potts now, who has popped out to second, and he has walked.
Catcher number 1, Logan Potts.
So 1 on, 1 out, top of the fifth for LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19. Here's the pitch. There's a swing and a foul back to the netting behind home plate by Logan Potts. On deck hitter, Jaron Reagan retrieves the foul ball. Logan Potts now with a no ball, 1 strike count. It is 2-1, post 126. There's a curveball that slides in for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes now, so Caden Record is way ahead here of Logan Potts. And the 0-2 now from Record, and there's a fly ball into right field in foul territory. And he caught it. Again, my view is obstructed here from that certain angle, but first baseman Bryce Chaplin lost his cap, ran into foul territory, and gloved the foul ball. So Jaron Reagan now comes to the plate. Like we said, that'll bring up Jaron Reagan now. He has singled, or actually he has reached on an error, and he has grounded out. First baseman unassisted.
First baseman number 36, Jaron Reagan.
Mason Workin still at first, but now there's 2 outs for LaMoure, post 19. Here's the pitch. That sails outside. 1 ball and no strikes to Jaron Reagan. And here comes the pitch. That is on the ground to third. Nice pickup, and they go to second. Zach Lowry goes to second the short way, and they force out Mason Workin. And that will close the top of the fifth inning, 4.5. Broken Bow, Nebraska 2, and LaMoure, North Dakota 1. We'll be back with the bottom of the fifth coming up in, just a short time here. So stay tuned on the live stream. You're in tune to American Legion Baseball Centennial Classic Baseball from Legion Field here at Farley Park in Milbank, the birthplace of American Legion Baseball. We'll be back with more. Stick tight here on a Saturday night. back here to the live stream. Again, I'm Chad Knowles. Glad to be along with you here at the birthplace of American Legion Baseball, Milbank, South Dakota, the Centennial Classic. We're heading into the bottom of the 5th inning now, and there's a pop-up, and that's going to be caught by shortstop Gunnar Thielges, as Logan Bell pops out.
Broken Bow leadoff batter number 10, center fielder Coy Wardeen.
That'll bring up center fielder Coy Wardeen, who has grounded out to short, singled, stole a couple bases, and scored a run. Wardeen takes a strike here in the bottom of the 5th. No balls and 1 strike. Again, Broken Bow holding on to a 2-1 lead. Here's the pitch. There is a hit into right field, and that is going to drop into fair territory. Wardeen takes a huge turn at first and goes back to first on a single. Nice play out there by right fielder Russell Exner as he got to that pretty quickly as he was shading towards center field. That was right down the line, dropped about a couple of feet inside the fair territory, and Exner gathered it up and fired a BB, but down to second base. And Wardeen slammed on the brakes and stays at first. Max Denson in the batter's box now for Broken Bow. Ball gets away from the catcher, and Wardeen goes into second. Catcher Logan Potts could not locate that one right away, and so taking second alertly that time is Coy Wardeen. Broken Bow trying to add to their 2-1 lead here. We are in the bottom of the 5th inning. And here's the pitch. That is low and outside. 2 balls and no strikes now to Max Denson. Bryce Chaplin bats next for Broken Bow, post 126. There's the pitch low. 3 balls and no strikes now. Max Denson, a great hitter's count here. We'll see what he can do with the baseball. And here is the pitch. There is a swing and a foul. I know what he wanted to do with that baseball. He wanted to put that over a fence here at Farley Park, Legion Field at Farley Park. I think in the meantime, that caught catcher Logan Potts. He's kind of shaking his right hand. Hopefully Logan will be okay. But Logan shaking his right hand there behind home plate. And 3-1 pitch. Now here it is. There is a hit into the air in pretty deep right field, but playing him perfectly out there, Russell Exner, and he puts that one away. So Denson, a long fly ball to right field. And Coy Wardeen will take third. But there's 2 outs now for Broken Bow, and that will bring up number 7, the first baseman, Bryce Chaplin. Bryce Chaplin tonight has struck out, and he has doubled. And now catcher Logan Potts is going to go out to his pitcher and gather in the infielders a little bit as well as the coach comes out from the third base dugout. And I don't know if we're going to see a pitching change here. We'll wait and find out if he's just going to talk to his pitcher and infielders. Again, 100 years ago, American Legion Baseball was born right here in Milbank, South Dakota. And you are in tune right now to the Centennial Classic. A team from South Dakota, a team from Nebraska, a team from Minnesota, and a team from North Dakota have participated this weekend in this tournament. Nice job. Kudos to the city of Milbank here and everybody involved with putting on a tournament like this. Because I'm sure it takes a lot of work, obviously, to put on a tournament like this. So congratulations to all involved. Meeting at the mound is over now, and Bryce Chaplin in the batter's box. Here's the pitch. That is a strike at the knees on the fastball. Coy Wardeen is standing at third for Broken Bow, and they are leading here 2-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Coming to the set is Colby Thilges. There's the pitch. There is a swing and a fly ball into center field. Lesko jogs in toward the infield, and Lesko makes the catch in center field. So Coy Wardeen is stranded at third. 5 complete. Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126, 2. LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19, 1. We'll be back with more Centennial Classic Baseball from Milbank, South Dakota in just a few seconds here, so just stay tuned. We'll be back with more.
Pitch counts after 5 innings. 86 for record of Broken Bow. 86 for record. 79 for Thilges of LaMoure. 79 for Thilges.
Back into the live stream. Again, you're listening to the Centennial Classic here from American Legion birthplace, Milbank, South Dakota, on a Saturday night. And that'll bring up number 24, Jake Kramer, the left fielder. Jake tonight has reached on an error and flied out to right field. Here's the pitch. There's a swing and a foul about 20-25 feet to the left of home plate. Caden Record still on the mound here for Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126, who leads here.
Nobody out west, and that from here is almost half their schedule. So we're bringing these extra games. So you play Phillip, you play Dakota, you play Miller, you know.
As we have entered the 6th inning here, top of the 6th.
And usually it was a fairly even matchup.
And here is the pitch. That is a ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Jake Kramer. Joey Potts waits on deck for LaMoure, post number 19. And here's the pitch to Kramer. He swings and misses. And that is strikeout number 1, I believe, tonight. Strikeout number 1 tonight for Caden Record. And here's the pitch. Record has scattered 4 hits. He's had a pretty good night here on the mound. But then so has Thilges for LaMoure, North Dakota. And there's a strike. So 1 ball and 1 strike now to Joey Potts. Top of the 6th inning is where we are. It is 2-1 Broken Bow, Nebraska over LaMoure, North Dakota. And there's a swing and a miss by Joey Potts. Record has his sign. Here comes the pitch to Potts. That's kind of a change-up off-speed pitch that time that stays high to Joey Potts. 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Joey. Here comes the 2-2. That is missed somewhere on the outside corner. A little bit too far outside. Full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes now to Joey Potts. And here comes the pitch. There is a swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts. 2 of them, and they're both right there, back-to-back. Turn over the top of the lineup now with Gunnar Thilges.
Shortstop number 20, Gunnar Thilges.
Gunnar Thilges has walked, flied out to left here tonight. Here's the pitch. There's a fly ball into foul territory and crashing into the netting down there, and a nice effort is catcher Max Denson, but Max does not come up with it, as there were some fans kind of standing on the other side of the netting that time, and Max Denson made a great effort that time, just did not come up with the catch in foul territory. So Thilges now, Gunnar Thilges with new life, the 0-1 count now to Gunnar. And here comes the pitch. That's grounded sharply to third, but up with it is Lowry over to first, and the out is complete. So Gunnar Thilges goes out third to first. 3 up, 3 down here in the top of the 6th. We're going into the bottom of the 6th. Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126-2. LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19-1. And we're going to step aside for just a little while here. You're in tune to the American Legion Baseball Centennial Classic from Legion Field here at Farley Park in the birthplace of American Legion Baseball, Milbank, South Dakota. And we'll be back with more. Stick tight here on the live stream. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Back to the audio-video live stream here on BigStoneRadio.com and YouTube as well here this whole weekend. Dom Novak, shortstop for Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126. Will step in the batter's box. He has walked, scored a run, and struck out. And there's a grounder to second base, and not being able to come up with it is the second baseman, Blaze Isaacson.
Novak reaches on the error, now batting.
So that is an error on the second baseman. And that will bring up Caden Record now, a 2 RBI single. He's driven in the only 2 runs for Broken Bow here in this game, and so far it has held up. And he also reached on an error. Throw over to first. Back in safely is Dom Novak. Broken Bow, post 126 is leading here 2-1 over LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19. Here's the pitch. That is a foul ball as that hits the bat of Caden Record. Kind of an excuse me, hit the bat actually, and off with the pitch was Novak, but he has to go back to first now. So Caden Record with a no ball, 2-strike count. Here's the pitch. Tried to be framed that time by the catcher Logan Potts, but it didn't quite work. Potts tried to pull it back toward the center of the zone. It's called a ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Caden Record. Here's the pitch. There is a fly ball into foul territory, and again, my view is obstructed here, but don't see a right hand from an umpire, so it must not have been caught. As Caden Record has new life, I guess, if you will, with a 1-2 count. Dom Novak is at first. Broken Bow is batting and leading here 2-1 over LaMoure, North Dakota. And there's a snap throw over to first. Oh, what a nice move. Did they get him? No. Just diving back in safely was Dom Novak. What a nice move that time by pitcher Colby Thilgis. He just about got Novak running or leaning the wrong way. Thilgis checks him again. Same throw over there, but not quite as close this time. Quite close, but not as close as that last time. Diving back in safely again is Dom Novak. Here's the pitch. There's a fly ball out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And there scatter the kids for the quarter that they can take to the concession stand. Every foul ball here in this tournament is worth a quarter. So Caden Record holding tight here with a 1-2 count. He's been battling here in the batter's box. Now calls for time and is granted time by the home plate umpire. And now Record wants time, and he's going to go and talk to his coach at third base. It is 2-1. Broken Bow is leading here over LaMoure, North Dakota. And now the little mini conference between third base coach and batter is over. So Caden Record now will go back to the batter's box. Meanwhile, catcher Logan Potts went out to talk to his pitcher Colby Thilgis. And so now are all back to their respective fielding positions as Dom Novak is still at first. Caden Record still in the batter's box. Nobody out here. A good lead by Dom Novak over at first base. We'll see if he's on the move. There he goes. He got a good jump. Grounder to short. Gunner Thilgis up with it over to first. And that is out. The out is complete. But off with the pitch and making it safely into second base was Dominic Novak. And I have a hunch that if Dominic wouldn't have taken off, he would have probably been forced out at second on that grounder to short. But because he took off to second base, he made it safely to second base, and Gunner Thilgis wanted to take the sure out, and he threw over to first base to get Caden Record. That brings up Zach Lowry now, who has flied out to center, popped out to short. Here's the pitch. That is low and outside on the corner for a strike. No balls and 1 strike. Now to number 5, Zach Lowry. Again, the winner of this one is in the championship tomorrow against Glenwood Lowry of Minnesota. Here's the pitch. There's a fly ball into pretty deep center field, but Lesko drifts back out there, and Owen Lesko puts it away and throws the ball back into the infield. Zach Lowry flies out to center field. Dom Novak goes into third. And that will bring up Kansas Kellum now, the second baseman, number 12 for Broken Bow, Nebraska.
Number 12, Kansas Kellum.
Kansas has flied out to center and flied out to left here tonight. There's the pitch. That is low. Nice block that time behind the dish by Logan Potts. Otherwise, possibly running in from third would have been Dominic Novak. But again, a nice play behind the dish that time by Logan Potts. Here's the pitch. There's a grounder too short. Gunner Thilgis guns a throw over to first, and the out is complete. So Kansas Kellum grounds out to short. So no runs in the bottom of the sixth for Broken Bow, Nebraska. We have completed 6 here in the Centennial Classic American Legion Baseball Tournament from Milbank. Again, 6 complete. Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126-2. LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19-1. We'll be back with the top of the 7th after this short break. So stay tuned, and we'll be back with more here on the live stream on BigStoneRadio.com.
And they're all staying to me. 12 is going to short. That's Kelly. Record is the second.
Your attention, please. Defensive changes for Broken Bow. Moving from the mound to second base, number 27, Caden Record. Record at second. Moving from second base to shortstop, number 12, Kansas Kellum. Kellum at short. And moving from shortstop to the mound, number 1, Dominic Novak. Novak, the new pitcher.
And the defensive changes are complete. Now the new pitcher for Broken Bow, Nebraska is Dominic Novak. Going to shortstop is Kansas Kellum, and going to second base is Caden Record. And those are your defensive changes for Broken Bow, as they are clinging to a 2-1 lead. And LaMoure, North Dakota now is going to bat here in the top of the 7th. And they are trailing 2-1. So very much of a pitcher's dual defensive struggle here tonight in this one. And again, the winner of this game gets Glenwood post 187, LaMoure post 253 from Minnesota tomorrow afternoon at 11:30 in the outright championship game here of the Centennial Classic. And that will bring up number 7 now, Blaze Isaacson, here in the top of the 7th. Here's the Dominic Novak pitch. That's grounded to short. Kansas Kellum up with it over to first. 1 out. As Kansas Kellum fired a BB over to Bryce Chaplin at first. And so now LaMoure, post number 19, is down to their last 2 outs. Colby Thielges, he is lined out to right, singled, scored a run, and lined out to left. And he got hit by a pitch, so he jogs down to first. Owen Lesko coming to the batter's box now. Owen has a double, a walk, and a fly out to left field. So the tying run now, Colby Thielges on first base. A potential go-ahead run in the batter's box for LaMoure, post number 19. And there is a ball fired in by Dominic Novak. And the pitch, and that is a strike, a snap throw back to first, and just diving back in safely on the bang play that time was Colby Thielges. And that was a good snap throw down there by Max Denson, and Colby Thielges just got back in time. Colby with a fairly good lead over there at first. And here's the pitch, and there's a snap throw back to first again, and not held cleanly that time by the first baseman Chaplin. Otherwise, they might have had Thielges picked off that time. And Owen Lesko now with a 2-1 count. Here's the pitch. That's a dribbler foul off to the right of home plate. And so returning to first now will be Colby Thielges, as Owen Lesko is even now with the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. and 2 strikes. Here comes the pitch. That is low. Nice block behind the dish that time, and nice catch by Max Denson to prevent the possible tying run, Colby Fieldges, from advancing to second. So 3 balls and 2 strikes. Now the count is full to Owen Lesko. And the pitch by Dominic Novak. Here it is, and that is outside. So Owen Lesko draws the walk. Taking second, Colby Fieldges. And that'll bring up Mason Warkin now.
Mason Warkin.
Warkin has 2 singles tonight, an RBI, and a fly out to short. And now there's going to be a meeting at the mound as the coach from Broken Bow, Nebraska, comes out of the first base dugout. So the chess match is on here as runners on first and second for LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19. They are trailing by 1 on the scoreboard, 2-1 to Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126. Again, the winner of this one gets Glenwood Lowry from Minnesota tomorrow at 11:30 in the championship game. We'll have that for you via the live stream here on BigStoneRadio.com and on YouTube as well. Meeting at the mound is over now. And Mason Warkin in the batter's box.
Now, our guys in the state, they prefer, that's just fine.
And here is the pitch to Warkin. That is low.
Okay, that's no problem. They said, but you want to do stuff. You're working to do that.
So 1 ball and no strikes now to Warkin. Comes the pitch. That is low. 2-1. Relief pitcher Dominic Novak in there now for Broken Bow. And here comes the pitch. That is low. So 3 balls now and no strikes. So now Dominic Novak 1 pitch away, bad pitch away from loading up the bases here with only 1 out. And here comes the pitch. That is a strike. Splits the plate in half. 3 balls and 1 strike. But still a hitter's count now for Mason Warkin. Logan Potts waits on deck. And the Novak 3-1. That is a curveball and a beauty in there. 3 balls and 2 strikes. So Dominic Novak working back now. He fell behind. 3 balls and no strikes. Now he's fired in 2 strikes. The payoff pitch. Here it comes. 3-2. That is low. So now the bases are loaded. Colby Fieldges to third. Owen Lesko to second. Mason Workman at first. And that now will bring up Logan Potts with the tying run 90 feet away, the go-ahead run out at second base. And there's a runner at first base as well. Bases are full of post-19 runners. They are trailing 2-1 for the moment against Broken Bow. But that lead right now is quite tenuous, honestly. As there is a ball fired into Potts. Here's the pitch. That is that curveball in for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike now to Logan Potts. Jaron Reagan waits on deck for post 19. The infield playing up on the infield grass, hoping to cut off that run potentially, of course, on any grounder to the infield. So 2 balls and 1 strike now, the count to Logan Potts. Bases are loaded. Here comes the pitch. There's a grounder to third, not handled cleanly, and the throw over to first. And that pulls the first baseman off the bag. So the tying run in Colby Fieldges scores.
RBI for Potts.
Owen Lesko goes to first. So Potts is at first. Lesko is at third. Warkin is at second. And here is the batter now, Jaron Reagan.
Number 36, Jaron Reagan.
So now it is tied at 2. And here's the pitch. There's the runner coming home, and he is going to be out at the plate. That must have been trying to be kind of a contact play that time and missing the ball. And coming in from third base, though, was Owen Lesko anyway, and he was tagged out at home.
They appealed and said he did not swing.
So going into third is Mason Warkin, and Logan Potts is still at first. And Jaron Reagan is in the batter's box now. We are tied at 2, though, so there will be a bottom of the 7th for sure here.
These in that game. Oh, we got this.
As Jaron Reagan now. Here's the pitch. There's a foul out of play to the left. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Jaron Reagan. Again, we're tied here at 2. LaMoure post number 19 and Broken Bow post number 126. Lots on the line. Here is a trip to the championship game tomorrow at 11:30 with Glenwood Lowry from Minnesota. Here's the pitch. There's a hit into left field, and that is going to land a foul as well. So trying to go the opposite way that time, Jaron Reagan hit it out to left field, but foul. So the count rides along now at 1 ball and 2 strikes to Reagan. And here comes the pitch. That's dribbled on the ground to third. Up with it, over to first, and that is going to be a major collision as both athletes at first base hit the ground really hard as after they hit the air. So Warkin scores from third. Potts goes over to third, and Jaron Reagan is at first. Bryce Chaplin and Jaron Reagan had a collision in midair. And runners are on the corners now with 2 outs, 2 runs in here so far for LaMoure. They have grabbed a 3-2 lead for post 19.
Lowry now playing second. Record at third.
Lowry's at second. Record at third, I guess. Here's the pitch. That is a strike at the knees.
The batter, left fielder, number 24, Jake Kramer.
Here's the pitch. That's strike 2. To Jake Kramer. Again, runners on the corners here, first and third. LaMoure has pushed across 2 here to take a 3-2 lead in the top of the 7th. And here's the pitch. That is a curveball called strike 3. And that is a strikeout for Dom Novak. And that is strikeout number 3 for Dom here. But LaMoure, post 19, comes up with 2 runs to take the lead. We're going into the bottom of the 7th. LaMoure, post 19, 3. And Broken Bow, Nebraska, 2. We'll be back with the bottom of the 7th shortly. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly here on the live stream. You're in tune to Centennial Classic Baseball on BigStoneRadio.com and YouTube. Welcome back into the live stream here of the American Legion Baseball Centennial Classic from Milbank, South Dakota.
Right fielder number 8, Colton Ulig.
Bottom of the 7th, right fielder Colton Ulig leading off for Broken Bow, who is now trailing by 1, 3-2. LaMoure scored 1 in the 3rd, and now they just added 2 in the top of the 7th. Broken Bow scored both of their 2 way back in the 1st. And that's a 1-1 count now to Colton Ulig. Logan Bell will bat next for Broken Bow, post number 126. There's a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Colton Ulig. Again, LaMoure, post 19, is leading here 3-2. And here is the pitch. There's a fly ball out of play to the left. So the count continues at 1 ball and 2 strikes now for Colton Ulig. Logan Bell bats next. Here's the pitch. There's a swing and a miss. Gets away a little bit from the catcher, but he has to throw down to first, and the out is complete. So, strikeout number 4 tonight.
Number 19, left fielder, Logan Bell.
For Colby Filgis, and Logan Bell now in the batter's box. Logan has popped out to short and flied out to left. And there's a pitch that hits Logan Bell.
Center fielder number 10, Coy Wardeen.
That'll bring up center fielder number 10, Coy Wardeen. He has walked, scored a run, stole a couple of bases, and singled. Here's the pitch. Strike at the knees of Wardeen. So now the tying run for Broken Bow, Nebraska is on first in the person of Logan Bell. Again, it's LaMoure, post 19 from North Dakota, leading here 3-2 over Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126. Colby Filgis taking some time on the mound now. The 0-1 pitch. There is a foul off to the right. No balls and 2 strikes to Coy Wardeen. Logan Bell on first. Broken Bow trailing by 1, 3-2 here in the bottom of the 7th. Here's the pitch. There's a foul back. Out of play behind me here, and there goes the kids again scattering after the baseball. And here's the pitch. There is a hit into short right field, and coming in and making the catch, or not making the catch that time, and just about forcing the runner out at second, and they did get the runner out at second. So what happened was Wardeen dumped a single into right field, and then Logan Bell didn't know if it was going to be caught or not by the right fielder, so he got out at second because he had to wait a while.
That was the 100th pitch. 100 pitches.
So now, Broken Bow is down to their last out. Max Denson.
Max Denson.
He has flied out to right, flied out to center, and lined out to center. So Wardeen is on at first, and that's all that's on right now for Broken Bow. He's the tying run, and there is a swing by Denson and a foul in right field. Losing his cap and running after it is Russell Exner out there, but it is out of play.
Yes, because it was a force out, it's no different than...
So Max Denson in the batter's box with a 0-1 count. We'll see if Wardeen is taking off again. He is not. And the pitch is low and outside. 1 ball and 1 strike now to Max Denson. Again, Wardeen represents the tying run at first. Broken Bow, Nebraska is trailing here 3-2. Here's Here's the pitch. There goes Wardeen. The throw down to second is not in time, and that gets into center field, but Wardeen could be the final out here, and he didn't want to risk going over to third. So he slams on the brakes with the stolen base at second. And 2-1 now the count to Max Denson. Here's the pitch. There's a dribbler down the third base line, foul by Max Denson to even up the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. So now Broken Bow possibly down to their last strike here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th. Wardeen representing the tying run on second base. Max Denson with a 2-2 count. Colby Filgis has gone the whole way here on the mound. Here's the pitch. And there's a hit into right field. And that is going to be caught out there by Russell Exner. And Max Denson flies out to right field.
No runs, no hits, no LaMoure errors, and 1 run left. Final line score for LaMoure: 3 runs, 5 hits, and 2 errors. For Broken Bow, 2 runs, 3 hits, and 4 errors. Let's give these 2 teams a round of applause for a very exciting game played tonight.
Okay, so that is your final. LaMoure, North Dakota, post number 19, punches their ticket to the championship game.
Centennial Classic, we will have a single winner-take-all championship game between Glenwood Lowry and LaMoure. It will be at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow, Glenwood Lowry and LaMoure.
All right, so the final line score here tonight, LaMoure, North Dakota, post 19, 3.
A single winner-take-all affair between Glenwood
And Broken Bow, Nebraska, post 126, 2. Final line, LaMoure, 3 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors. Broken Bow, 2 runs, 3 hits, 4 errors. And that is your game here tonight. Again, don't forget, tomorrow at 11:30, we'll hit the video stream about 11:15 or so. Glenwood Lowry from Minnesota will play LaMoure, North Dakota for the championship here, and we'll have it on the video and audio stream for you at about 11:15, 11:30. First pitch here from Legion Field at Farley Park in the birthplace of American Legion Baseball, Milbank, South Dakota. Thanks everybody for tuning into the stream. I've enjoyed bringing these games to you, and again, we'll do one more tomorrow as LaMoure, North Dakota will play Glenwood Lowry, Minnesota again tomorrow at 11:30. We'll have it for you about 11:15 for the pregame here on the live audio stream and video stream. But for tonight, from Milbank, I'm Chad Knowles. Good night, everybody, and have a great weekend.
Lowry is the home team.